Hey guys, what's up? I'm back at it with another knife review here. Knife review, not overview. This is mine and I'm going to go fairly in depth with it. We are going to be talking about the 3-inch XM-18, specifically the slicer grind. Alright? Before I get started, I also have this XM-18 3.5 inch, and I'm going to have it for probably a couple more days. So let me know if you want to see a separate review on this one. It's going to be very similar to the 3-inch. It will be different, but it will be similar. So let me know if you want to see that. Alright, so let's talk about the slicer. As always, we'll start with materials. The blade is made of CPM S35VN. I'm gonna guess that 80% of you, especially if you're watching the video, probably 90% if you're watching the video, have had experience with S35VN in some way, shape, or form. Alright guys, it's a very popular steel, very common, especially in the higher end knife world. My first experience with S35VN was on the ZTO 450, and I have had many blades in it since then. And my thoughts on S35VN, very corrosive resistant. I will take it over S30V. I do not have an S30V blade here to show you right now, but I do prefer it over S30V. I feel that S30V takes it takes less fine of an edge. S35VN is easier for me to, not easier, but it takes a better edge than S30V in my opinion. Also, it's a tougher steel. S30V can chip out if you put any pressure on it whenever you're cutting through material. I'm not sure edge holding. They say S35 holds an edge better. I'm just going to agree with that. I am not 100% sure because I don't really test my knives that way. Most of the time, if I ever cut hard with a knife, I'll strop it afterward, and I'll strop my knives every other week. And so I don't let my knives get dull, and I can't tell a difference in the edge holding. I can tell a difference in the sharpness of the edge and the polish that it takes, and the corrosive resistance is about the same. Alright, so that's S35VN again. I may be rambling on about a steel that everybody knows about, but this is a knife review, so yep, you get what you came for. So the handle is made of G10 on a titanium liner and a titanium frame lock, or titanium lock side. The titanium is 6A04V titanium, common titanium in the knife industry, used in every single knife. I have yet to find a knife that has titanium that is not 6A04V. It is lighter than steel, titanium I'm talking, and is, it can be anodized. Steel, I don't think steel can be anodized. I could be wrong, but I know titanium is easy to anodize. And so that's why a lot of makers like it, and also it's just kind of a premium material. It is tougher than aluminum and lighter than steel. Alright. G10, a lot of you know G10, I'm sure. You may have experienced it on a Rift, or a Paramilitary 2. I think that was my first experience with G10, maybe a Cold Steel Recon 1, one of those two. The texturing on this G10 is perfect, in my opinion. It gives you just enough grip if you're moving your thumb if you're moving it forward or backward. Side to side offers no grip at all, really. It's not overly aggressive, and since they don't have it on the lock side, it does not tear your pockets up. You can get a variety of colors for the XM-18. Oops. This one happens to be the brown. Eventually I will change this out. Maybe I'll get a green scale like this one. I don't know. Pocket clip is also titanium. The screws and standoffs are also titanium, I believe. And the pivot system uses Teflon washers. We will talk about that in a second. Construction is perfect on this knife, in my opinion. You have 4 points of contact, the pivot and these 3 standoffs. These standoffs are done the right way, in my opinion. You have this screw into this barrel that runs in the middle of this sleeve. So you have a sleeve that goes over the barrel and a screw goes into the barrel. Very strong, in my opinion, and it's great for keeping the knife, giving the knife integrity, especially as it ages. It's not going to have any problem with these 2 scales not lining up correctly. Talked about that in the Southern Avo review, how this is only a 2-part pivot or standoff system, and the pivot or standoff is not shouldered. So over time, these scales could have problems lining up. Pivot system is rather interesting. I didn't understand how the pivot worked until I got one in hand, and it's actually very simple. You have this pivot collar, I guess, and the actual pivot that runs through the knife, and simply this just screws right in there. And this collar you see here, let me get a pointer real quick and explain it better to y'all. We'll talk about why this is kind of important in a second. This center screw you see here is actually this screw that has gone through the blade and is poking out on this end. Alright, it's flush, so it's not a fit and finish problem. It's how it's designed. This collar, though, is part of a separate screw that goes into the barrel. So this is normally screwed right into the barrel, and then you tighten it down by screwing this into the barrel as well, and then it pops up right there. Sometimes this knife, I think this knife did require it, yeah. You will need a spanner tool to lock down this screw so that whenever you turn this pivot to loosen it or tighten it, this screw doesn't spin along with it. You do not want that, because then you're just going to have a spinning pivot and you can't do what you want to it. You don't need to buy the Hinderer spanning tool, though. You can get just you can take apart nail clippers and stick one of those pieces. It fits perfectly into this cutout of the screw and this cutout, so you can just lock that down as you unscrew the pivot. It's probably kind of confusing as I'm talking about it now, but if you understand what I'm talking about, then I hope that's helpful to you. And I hope that if you own an XM-18, you're watching this review and you haven't taken it apart and you're thinking about buying the spanner tool, you know you don't have to. Alright, so let's talk about blade finish and handle finish. Both have a gorgeous stone wash on it. To be honest, this is stone wash done perfectly. If my camera will focus, there we go. It is a nice, heavy, dark, deep stone washing. It is very different than what you would get on a Sebenza. And I don't have one here to show you, but it's very different than the Spyderco stone washing also. The Spyderco stonewashing is also polished, or at least it looks that way. And this stonewashing is certainly not that. It is very matte. I think it looks gorgeous. It does a great job at hiding scratches. You could probably have, yeah, you can see the 3 I have there. Titanium is stonewashed the same way. Again, really, really beautiful, and it does a really good job at hiding scratches. Let's talk about the handle design. Oh, and also the texture on the G10 is very attractive. I think that it looks nice. So anyway, yes, back to the handle design and lines. This handle is so comfortable. If you own a Manix 2 G10, you know how comfortable that knife is, and this knife is just as, if not more, comfortable. Especially in a 3.5 inch variant. Man, this thing is... Whew. Yeah, so this is one of the most ergonomic knives I have ever held in my hand, and I have owned quite a few knives, guys. I'm not saying that bragging, but I mean, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see a lot of knives there, and yeah, all of them I have owned. So, know that you're getting great ergonomics. Even when you choke up with this flipper tab, I don't feel it digging into my fingers at all. I still think it's very comfortable. Along with design, here is, you know what, before I get to the negative, let's talk about the last positive, and that is he has chamfered this knife very well. So not only are the lines ergonomic, but there are no hot spots because everything is rounded off nice. So now let's get to the major complaint. This is the only complaint I have on the whole knife. Yeah, the only complaint I have on the whole knife. It's a big one, because I know that a lot of people have sold their XM-18s, both 3-inch and 3.5 inch, for this very reason. It is the flipper tab and the jimping. I mean, guys, let's look at this logically. Alright, so you have a jimped flipper. Alright, whatever. You flip in, and you know that the detents are fairly light on these, and they are not meant to be... They're not meant to be light switched. They are meant to be push buttoned. So when you push button, your finger lands right on this jimping here. And this jimping is very sharp. I mean, it doesn't hurt your thumb whenever you're grasping it, but it is sharp. So you can see what it's done to my finger over the past, I think I've owned this thing for about a month now. And you can see that it is definitely taking a toll on my finger. I don't mind that as much to me because the rest of the knife is awesome and this is callousing, and so it's becoming less and less painful. But, I mean, if they just remove these last 2 jimps, you would be fine. You would be landing on soft titanium and G10 and not sharp jimping, which is titanium and G10, but you know what I mean. So keep that in mind whenever you are looking at this knife. That jimping, especially when you first get it, it is going to hurt. Unless you send your knife to Solo's Knife Reviews? Yeah, Solo's Knife Reviews. And you do the flipper delete, where you basically just cut this flipper off, make it flush with the top of the handle, and then you have a thumb stud knife. Unless you do that, know that the flipper and the jimping is going to hurt. Alright, so let's move on to execution, the final category of this knife review. Let's talk about action. I've already kind of talked about the flipping action. You have to push button it. And you have to get a decent amount of tension to flip it open. You have to kind of build pressure this way and then change directions and flip it. I still find it very fun because once you do that, the knife is pretty snappy. And I think where this knife really shines on action is the thumb studs. I have owned 4 940s, or 3. I've held 4 940s, and each and every one of them is not like each and every one of them. Yeah, they flip really good. They're very well balanced, but none of them compare to this 3-inch XM-18. I mean, literally, you don't have to have any thumb tension. You just kind of push on that thumb stud and it flies open. It is significantly better than even the 3.5-inch XM-18, and this isn't a slouch. But this guy is, it's really amazing. And of course, no blade play, alright? Alright, so I just said no blade play. That's moving to the next point on lockup. And one of the reasons that this has no blade play, and this is very well engineered. It has Teflon washers that do make it very smooth and that probably contribute to the really good flipping action. But Teflon washers are flimsy. They can cause flex in the system, not blade play, but blade flex. And that is eliminated by these 2 thumb studs being pressed through the blade and locking up with the titanium liner and scale. So that's very well engineered, and that is why you will not have blade play and you will have a very smooth knife on all of the XM-18s. Final thing I'll talk about, or close to the final thing, I'm wrapping it up here, is the lock geometry. It is carbidized. It locks up the same every time. No lock stick at all. None at all. And centering is perfect. And it is very light tension. It is extremely light tension. Good thing it has the Hinderer stabilizer there. Pocket clip, it rides very well tipped down. You know, carrying this is a pleasure, I guess. You forget that it's there. And I don't like deep carry pocket clips, guys. I like pocket clips. I think this is one of the perfect pocket clips right here in the Sabenza. You know, you just have a little bit up there to grab. So you reach in. How I grab my knife is I normally reach in like this and then open it like that. Sometimes I will pinch the top here and pull it out and then reposition it. But that's the type of carry I prefer, and this is right along with it. Great, absolutely great. Good size lanyard tube there. I don't think you'll have a problem, or not lanyard tube, lanyard hole. So I don't think you'll have a problem fitting a lanyard in there. So to wrap this review up, there are many options you can get on this XM-18 series. This one is the slicer grind, as I mentioned before. There are several different blade shapes. There is a Wharncliffe blade shape, and I had that in the XM-18 3-inch variation as well, and I thought that was a great blade shape. Very utilitarian. I really am liking Wharncliffes. I mean, I've got that guy. I have the GEC Wharncliffe I was talking about, and I think I'm going to be getting the Spyderco Mantra 1, which is the Wharncliffe blade, or the sheep's foot Wharncliffe, whatever. I think that I'm starting to love that blade shape. I think it's very utilitarian. I don't think you need belly for a good EDC blade. So anyway, that may be another video for the future. But you have the Wharncliffe variation in the 3-inch model. You have the Spanto, which is a Tanto and a spear point mixed. So it has a similar blade shape like this one, but the grinds are different. And you get a really thick belly and a really reinforced tip. I think there's also a spear point on a 3-inch, which again is a similar blade shape, just a different grind. They do not have the slicer blade shape, or the skinner, I should say. This is a skinner, that's a slicer. Or the buoy in the 3-inch, but I think they just added a harpoon blade shape if you're a Tanto guy. And of course I already talked about a lot of different handle scales you can get, and hardware. You can get it anodized and different color pocket clips and custom pocket clips. There's really, sky's the limit on this knife for customization. So if you liked what you saw, I suggest you go and pick one up. I am very, very happy with this knife, and other than that one caveat, I think that it's perfect. Alright, so that was my very my all over the place review on the XM-18 3-inch. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm getting better at these reviews, I think, staying more on track and getting my wording right. And I hope that in the reviews and videos to come, I become more and more enjoyable to watch. Alright, so anyway, hit the like button if you like this video, comment if you have any questions or if you disagree or agree. Shoot me an email if you want to get your knife sharpened, and follow me on Instagram, jdubknives, or jdub_knives, same name as this YouTube channel. And you'll see some pretty cool knife porn there. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.